share something about myself and how that helped me through as well. So when I was at the university, it was around in the early me and Miriam Kambao and Miss Botswana won actually. I was already at the university at that time, and I already have transitioned even during a school, and it was very hard because when you are at university, we're part of a big group actually in our school. In fact, Miss Trans Global Mela was last year who won was in the same school that I have, including the national director for the Philippines. Jan Lee came from the same school as mine, and we're all part of this big LGBT group called Dollhouse. And in that group, it's a mix of gay boys, lesbian, and trans. And I think in my memory there were only two of us who were like out trans at that time, and everyone is like effeminate gay boys. And the problem with it is that we have no kind of like example or role model of what will happen to me after I graduated college. In fact, when I graduated college, one of my friends who asked me told me that I have to detransition in order to find work. And that's on top of everything that I have achieved in the university. So I was at the top of my mathematics class. I was the president of my organization at the Math Society. And yet I was being asked, in order to find a work, you have to detransition to be a boy again. And that really was very hard for me at that time. And I did tone down a little bit in order to be kind of like have this good entry in the corporate world. So I was hired in Procter and Gamble at the time, which is a big multinational company. I was the first ever trans that entered the company. No policies. Everyone was shocked. Everyone was curious to see me in my desk. So, you know, you have when you in your first day in your office, you have people coming up to your desk looking at you like, oh, like a trans person in the corporate office. This is like a freak show, if I would say, for them, because they will never see a trans person in a corporate setting. And it was very hard for me too, going through it, because um, I would go to the female restroom and I would get a lot of incident reports with female employees, kind of like reporting me. My boss also forbid me to wear makeup. I have to tie my hair in the office. So I have to go through all these pressure in the corporate world in order to fit in. Um, but what really kept me going is that you know in yourself that you're good. You know that your work will speak for you. You know that whatever you do, you are good at it, and no matter what your identity is, it will speak for itself. And I think that's what really kept me going throughout my career. And as I have proven, I think my worth and my value and my output in my work, and I think being able to go through that difficulty that I have, I was able to, I think there is really like a big need to impart change. So now I help build our company's global inclusion and diversity, and even now when I'm here in the UK, I now lead the UK and Ireland inclusion and diversity program that we have here, because I know that we need to be able to do something to impart that change. And and even in our company, I'm speaking in behalf of our transgender policy in order to advance that. And being able to be put in that spotlight because you're the first transgender in the office, and you have to do something. You have to make something worthwhile to help others. And I think it's really a challenge, yeah. And I am sure for all of you, there are things or achievements in your life that you can already say, yeah, I was the first one. I was the first person who is able to achieve great honors in our local community. I was the first one who is the representative of my country. Like, I mean, Mela is already the first Miss Trans Global, but we all are challenged and we all have these achievements already. And I am sure that you all will continue to make that spaces to be the first. But if in the hindsight, if I really think about it, being the first one is really difficult as well. You have to do it on your own. And that is the beauty of a contest like this, a forum like this, because you have everybody who share the same thing, like-minded, and you have a community, you have a network that really has this, you will feel that your walk is, you're not doing it alone. You have people to go with you. And I think that's really my challenge for you. While there are things that we do because you are the first one, you are the only one who does it, but it also feels good that you have a community, you have a network that does it with you. And I guess my parting message for everyone is, I think you grab that opportunity to do something and pave way for a lot of the girls. We have to all do it together, because I want to be in that position someday that, people will not just count that, Sahara is the first Black Miss International Queen who managed to be there in the spotlight kind of thing. But I want people to lose count of everyone, because there's just so much of us. And that's my challenge to everyone. We take up as many spaces as we can. We take up all these achievements and all these, like career goals, as many as we are. And I want people to just be overwhelmed that there's so many of us to be able to achieve it. And I think with this Miss Trans Global, this will really like overwhelm everyone. Like, oh my God, like so many good quality girls really out there, really outspoken. And yeah, I think that's really the challenge. And I am very confident to see everybody to be there out in the open and be able to spread that message. But at the same time, you want to show to everyone that we are not just people who are confined to a certain industry, to a certain kind of beauty standard, to a certain box. But we are all different. We're able to push boundaries. We're able to break glass ceiling. And yeah, and I want people to just lose count of counting everyone who managed to do that. So that's my message for you all this afternoon. And yeah, I hope to see you all. And yeah, enjoy your time and this be part of that big cause to really make that message audible and really strong to the world and to the rest of the globe. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So that was really inspiring. Like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start from. I never even knew you worked with Procter and Gamble as well.
Yes.
How you walked
so,
around?
so so now I work with Accenture UK.
Mm-hmm.
I do IT. I'm an IT senior manager. So we manage IT programs across the globe that we have. But as part of the work that I do, I also do the Global Inclusion and Diversity Program. And so we work with our pride networks, but at the same time, I'm very hard in pushing having our transgender policies and transgender benefits being rolled out in the different countries in the world actually. So if Accenture actually has, I think 11 countries right now where we're able to cover and support all transgender needs and support really, including gender reassignment surgery. So it's really good actually that we have it. So I have met a lot of transgender, non-binary, gender non-conforming people as well around the world, where they wanted to have a home, they wanted people to have someone to talk to or someone to support them. And I think that's something that I really do within the company, because I know the difficulty of transgender people, especially in the corporate world, where I would say it's still cutthroat, and it's still very competitive industry. But it is, I think, an industry that is very important to be part of, because being in the formal sector, in the corporate world, you're able to influence, you're able to make change. And personally as well, it has helped me really improve my life, and really sit side by side with those middle-aged white men who are in their suits. And it feels liberating that you are no longer confined in a certain industry, but you're able to really kind of like walk side by side with them and still be fabulous and still be a queen.
My question is, ¿cómo le puedes explicar desde tu perspectiva a una niña que es una mujer trans? How can you explain, or in your opinion, to a child that you are a trans woman?
Oh, wow. It's a very hard question, actually. I think what you can, I mean, talking about children, they would have a very, I think, creative mind, and they're able to absorb information that are probably kind of like relatable to them. So I think I would say that to a child, that a trans woman would be someone like a superhero, like Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman is strong, she helps people, but at the same time, she's courageous, she fights bad people. And I think in the mind of a child, if we're able to portray that strength, if we're able to show that you are someone who is of superhero quality, then I think it will be put in their mind how amazing you are as a person, and you are also someone worthy to be idolized or to be emulated as a superhero. So that would be my answer, actually, to explain such complicated topic, but to put something simple, to tell them something that they can understand, but at the same time you don't lose the lesson. And the lesson is, you should show that you are courageous, you are brave, and you are a superhero. Yeah?
That was a very good, that is a very good response, because that same question, the question that Leslie just asked, right, was the exact same question that someone asked Mela last year during the press conference. And they said, how would you, just exactly how you explained it was exactly how she did. Using a toy or a cartoon character or something that the kids can recognize and emulate and identify with, use that analogy to explain the situation for them. The minds of children are innocent and they're moldable like a clay. You can mold them when they're still young. So it's great to be able to help young kids to speak like that. Leslie still have something to say. Go on, Leslie. What do you have to say?
Yes, Leslie.
Spreading herself. I love your earrings and top, by the way, Leslie.
It's lovely. Yes.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Qué bonita.
Quiero dar mi opinión. I want to say my opinion.
Yes, let's get her opinion. Yes, please tell us.
And a little experience. En mi familia, yo tengo mi sobrina de 5 años. In my family, I have my niece that is 5 years old. Y en una ocasión, mi mamá me presentó como si yo fuera su tío. And once, my mother say her that I'm a male. Y mi sobrina le dijo a mi mamá. And my niece say to my mother. ¿Por qué me dices tío?
Why you say that he's a male?
Si ella es mi tía Leslie.
If she is my Uncle Leslie, she's a woman.
Los niños hoy en día son muy inteligentes.
Children nowadays, they are very smart and intelligent.
Y cuando eres una buena persona,
And when you are a good person,
las palabras sobran porque tus acciones lo dicen todo.
words are not enough because your actions say everything. That's all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. That is true. That is very, very true. I agree with that. I agree totally. She is totally right. Yeah. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Leslie. Thank you.
Yes, and also I want to say that, you know, when we are trying to explain complex questions in life, or even during contests, or even during normal conversations, it's always nice to share a little bit of a story based on how you experience in your life, because it makes it personal. It means that you are true and you've experienced it. But at the same time, people like stories of hope, stories that inspire, stories that really makes people realize how wonderful life is in general. And I think that's what I would encourage everyone to share a little bit of your story in your life, what you experience with children, with your parents, with your friends. These are nice things that you can tell to the world. And as you go onto this competition, and you do conversations, share a little bit of yourself. It's your gift to everyone, actually, to share a little bit of your story. And me, in personally, I like listening to people's stories. I like really nice stories, and I feel inspired to listen to them.
Yeah, me too. I love hearing stories. I think that is how I learn certain issues in life. I always go to Google first to find out, to apply those situations to my life. All right, let's move on. Eswatini, Pinti is trying to ask a question. Please unmute yourself, Eswatini. After Pinti Eswatini has spoken, I will go to Albion to speak. So, Eswatini, go and ask your question.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Hello, Rika. My question is around how have you coped being in the corporate world where there's so much patriarchy in leadership? I come from a country that's being led by patriarchy, so they don't even know the existence of trans women. If you tell of trans women, it's like you are speaking of something that's mythological or some Western kind of practice. But then again, they do understand that there would be somebody who's possessed by male ancestors in them, whereas they they were born female. So I just think my society is a little bit very pretentious because they understand somebody who's born female, who they assume has male ancestral spirits. But when I come in as a trans woman and say I am trans, then they say, oh shame, she's westernized or something like that. So how have you coped? I understand that you've been climbing the ladder and it's a beautiful thing. How have you coped with the masculinity in that space? Thank you so much.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm as Winnie as Watini. Yes, I'm sorry that is the situation in your country. In fact, in the Philippines, that is also the situation, and I think a lot of parts of the world. We still encounter a lot of bigotry and discrimination, and people really judging us. I think for me, the best tool that I was able to do is to realize that you can't fight this battle alone. I know you are strong. I know we all have like strength from our experience, but we have to recognize that you cannot just fight the battle and go there on your own. So what I do is I look for network. I look for people who will support me and people who will be marching with me in order to, say my piece or say how I will assert myself. Let's say, for example, if I want to be promoted, I know that I cannot just say my piece, because there is always a tint of the question that, is the company going to promote a trans woman as a senior manager? Yeah. So that if the question is just answered and you're the only one fighting for it, the voice is really low. Yeah. But that's why it's very important to find network, to find friends, to find allies who will say the same thing with you. And one thing that I realized, which is very powerful, is if an ally, someone else speak in behalf of you, that say, hey, Rika does this, Rika does that, she's deserving for this, it's even more powerful if you're not the one saying it. So that is my suggestion to everyone. Actually, you have to treasure the people that will be your ally. Build as many network as you can who can help you and make your voice more powerful. And I think at the end of the day, when people speak about you and what the work that you do, it's an affirmation to you that you are really good, that you don't have to lift your own seat and tell your story like, I'm good, I'm beautiful, I'm intelligent. You don't have to do that anymore. Someone will do that for you. And I think it really feels good when you have these lawyers, I would say cheerleaders, for you to do that. And I think for me, that's in real life, that's what happened to me. I had people who cheerleaded for me, who were my attorney, who are my lawyers in front of this, really patriarchal, very white male exclusive, fraternity, as I would say.
Yeah. So let me cut in there. So we're going to, because we have so many hands up now. So we're going to keep. Let me go to Albion now. Albion, could you ask your question, please?
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Miss Rika. First of all, can I put a little bit of input regarding children? Yes. How do you explain to them transgenderness? Yes. Actually, with my experience to my children relatives, it is not hard to explain to them our womanhood. It is so easy. They easily accept our womanhood, but it is my older relatives who would butt in and contradict what the children see me as. And I think humans, we are not born innately bad or good. We have the ability to absorb whatever the system or our older generations have molded us to think. And I think it is not the children that we should worry more, but the older generations. How do they unlearn the systems that they have learned that are oppressing us? Because children can learn so much better things that are more inclusive from us, but these older generations have already have this dogmatic idea of what they see womanhood as. And I think we should worry more about that and the systemic aspect of it. And to fix that, I think we should start with the politics. That is where we put up policies that are inclusive, such as the SOGI Equality Bill in the Philippines that we are trying so hard to pass for a long time now. And from there we can eventually progress as a society, and it won't be hard for future generations to be more inclusive.
So, ask your question quickly. That was very good.
All right, my question to you, as someone who has who coming from the Philippines, and also as someone who is in the corporate world, I would like to ask, how do you think the attitude towards trans women, may it be particular in the Philippines or in the world in general, has progressed or has transitioned since your time and up to our time as a young queen that is standing here today? Because I also heard you speak about paving the way for the future generations, and I think that would be essential in doing my advocacy works as well.
Thanks, Albion. And congratulations on your win, actually. I am also from Iloilo, actually. So, Mayang
I
Maga.
always say Ilo have the most beautiful women in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wow, that is
Tia
so
Mateo,
cool.
yes,
congratulations,
yes.
Pangka.
Salamat, kid. Maayong gabi from the Philippines.
Yes. I guess what I will tell everyone is it has progressed a little bit, but I am still not satisfied with how it is now. So can you imagine from zero to being discriminated, being reported for going to the female restroom? That was a situation before. I think in a lot of companies now that has been alleviated, that has been somehow resolved, but the thing that disappoints me right now is they're tokenizing transgender people, meaning they just have a transgender person because they want to say that, yes, we have a program for transgender people, we have a transgender employee, we have, we're being tokenized. And I think we all have to realize that we don't want to be tokenized. We want to have a change that really impacts our lives, right? So we want transgender people to have access to work. We want transgender people to be hired, not because of their gender identity, but because of their qualifications, their degree. We all want these things that really impacts our lives. And I think for everyone who is here, we need to assert these things that we go beyond being tokenized. We go beyond being just social media influencing, like lifestyle girls, beauty girls, model girls. We want to go beyond. We want to do things that impacts our lives, change our economic status. We want to bring food to our table. We want to go out there and, feel safe and respected, and you want to be protected from being catcalled, and these are the things that matter, and we have to raise that to them rather than just saying, yeah, we have transgender employee, we do things for trans people, but at the end of the day, you get rejected in a bank, you get laughed at when you travel, and that's not good, right? So yes, so let's fight to be, have something that is really kind of like impacting our lives. That's what we need to do rather than being tokenized.
I'll add to this conversation because I think it's one part of it that I am very, very passionate about. In fact, that was the reason why Miss Trans Global was started. We want to raise more awareness. We want to encourage our girls to go out there and reach for the universe instead of just reaching for the ceiling in their properties. They should reach beyond the stars. Yeah. We have this whole thing where we trans women, all we focus on is looking six-like or going and winning pageants and making all our other trans sisters jealous of us because we look so perfect. I have the best curves, my boobs is bigger than yours, I look more womanly than yours, my voice is more feminine than yours. It's not a competition at the end of the day, because when one person wins, when it comes to trans people, we all win. I don't remember what you girls were doing when, what is her name? Angela Ponce when she won a Miss Universe Spain. And when I saw her on the stage of Miss Universe, I was floored. I was crying. The video is on my page actually, because I was blubbering because I was so happy. I was tears of joy and also tears of pain, knowing that people like me won't have the chance to walk on that stage because of the rules that have been put in place. And the rules were changed later on than those of us who are a lot older now and are not able to have that opportunity to also express and show how good we are on stage. Because of the way society has been set up, it's been set up against us not to be successful. And that is why I think when one person succeeds in our community, we should all come together and fight for them. Faisalin, Miss Trans Global Malaysia said, I think one of the initiatives that we can do is to educate children about our identity as trans people. Is by put syllabus about SOGI in schools. And I believe children will be more, children will have, it will be easier for children to accept and learn about us and also about LGBT, especially transgender. I was very happy and enjoyed to see Miss Spain in 2018. Me too. I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, I was so happy. That is what Carla is saying. Carla said she was very happy. She said, hello. Also, in the bank where I work, where I still face discrimination. For example, I have been refused to have more promotions several times, as I think they should give me more opportunity. And I think we should educate people about LGBT, especially transgender. Yes, that is what Carla, Miss Trans Global Mauritius, is saying, because Mauritius works in the bank, and she's saying that she's still going through a lot. She's still facing through a lot. And I totally understand. All right, so let me go to Ariella. Ariella was trying to speak earlier. Ariella, please unmute yourself.
Hi, hello to all. Hi, Rika. Hi, Mr. Haram. Well, I have a question for you, Rika. I believe that we trans women, if it was not to have these hormones, yeah, we want to behave same. Yeah, if you won't have the hormones, our behavior comes from the brain. What I'm trying to say is that when I was 5 years old, I was playing with dolls. I was being myself very feminine, you know, like my nature was feminine. So what I'm trying to say here, do you agree with the fact that hormones are beneficial for us? Because if you think about, if you don't take hormones, we can actually be women, even with hormones or without hormones. So do you think hormones are good for the next generation of trans girls?
Rika, remember you sent that form that we should sign about the effect of hormones to hair and all of that. So when Ariella was asking this question, I was smiling because I was like, this is something that we have absolute. Yeah, go on. You answer the question briefly and then I will also add to it.
Yes, of course. I think what I will tell to everyone is we own our body. Whatever you decide to put into your body, you own it, you decide on it, by meaning that when you own it, you have to think about it. Yeah. You don't impose what other people do to their body. So you just think about it, your body. In the same way that we don't want people to talk about our genitalia. Yeah, you don't want that. So that's why the same concept. You decide what is good for you. Of course, with hormones, you have positive benefits, like it makes you softer, it makes your hair grow longer, but it has also the negative effect. Yeah, you know that there are risks with taking hormones, like thrombosis, like it makes you irritable, it affects your mood, for example. And at the end of the day, as a person who owns your body, you think about and assess the weight what is it for you, and then you decide if you think that hormones is good for you to transition to be more feminine, then it is a valid decision. But if people don't take hormones, it is also a valid decision. You don't kind of like ostracize a trans girl because she doesn't take hormones. It's a valid decision for her. She took it for herself. And I think we should celebrate what we all kind of like decide for ourselves, because at the end of the day, that's the essence of being transgender, right? We decide for our body. We decide what we want to do with our breast, with what we have down there. And we need to kind of like, I think, be like there's integrity in what we say, you know? So if you advocate for you owning your body, then we shouldn't, like kind of like impose how other girls do with their body as well, whether we want them to take hormones or not take hormones.
Let me add to that.
One more question, and that's it. I'm done. Do you girls have periods? Do you have periods because of the hormones? Do you have the period?
No.
I have. Some of the girls has.
Well, some people do. Period. So you bleed from your vagina, you mean? Do you bleed from
mentally, emotionally?
That is not what we're talking about. If you're talking about the effect of what period does to people, trans people have it 247, 365 days a year. we don't have a break. That's what I was saying to my cisgender friend, that trans people, because of hormones, when we're taking hormones, we are temperamental, we are emotional. When I'm watching TV, I'm crying. You have it periodical. You have it like maybe times of the month when you're having your bleeding period. But we
No,
as
but I
trans
have
people,
once a month, let's say, and everything changed on me, my mood, the
everybody
way
is
I
different.
look, my
Everybody
breath.
is different. And I have mine always. I have always had it for the past, how many, nearly 20 years that I've been on hormones. But what I would say is that women, hormones doesn't make a woman. Surgery doesn't make a woman. Your brain makes you who you are. Why I'm saying this is because we get a lot of women who are in the lesbian community or in the LGB community, even some trans women who don't see themselves as women and consider themselves as TERF. I don't know if you guys have had the word TERF, TERF. Trans-Exclusionary Radical Feminism is an ideology that sees trans women as men and sees trans women as dangerous for cisgender women. They see us as rapists and bad people. And for that reason, they try to remove us from female-only spaces. They don't, because they believe that we are going to attack them when they allow us in there. So the reason why I'm saying this is that hormones doesn't particularly, or surgery doesn't make us who we are. When you go to continental Africa, where I come from, you see a lot of women, cisgender women, who are like, they're Amazonas. They're like 6 foot tall, hairy chests. Some have beard, some have broad shoulders with no hips. Does that make them less of a woman? And how about women who have MRKH syndrome, Meyer-Rutikansi Kuster-Hauser syndrome, where they were born without hormones? Are they going to say that those people are not women? Are they going to say that those people are less of a woman because they can't have children? Because people always use, oh, can you bleed? Or have you had baby before? Or do this, or you are not a woman because you can't do this or you can't do that. I'm like, well, hello. That doesn't make you a woman, though. What makes you a woman is your brain. It comes from your brain. It's what your brain tells you. It's not what society tells you that makes you a woman. So whenever you ladies are going out there to challenge some of these people who invalidate your womanhood and your identity, you need to arm yourself with medical, science, fact, and use your intelligence to counteract their ideas, especially when they come up with the stories and trying to make you feel bad for who you are. Girl, have all your receipts, biologically proven science. Don't listen to their social construct, which is, oh, because you're assigned male at birth, so therefore you shouldn't be allowed to be, shouldn't be called female. I'm like, let me swear, bullshit. They need to speak, they need to let trans women be who they are, because that is who they are. That is what their brain tells them to be. And that's how, just like when they wake up in the morning, what does their brain tell them? Their brain tells them, oh, any cis woman, oh, I'm a cis woman, I need to put on my bra, I need to get dressed, and I need to go out of the house. Just like that, I should be afforded the same right, because that is the way my brain tells me. There is no way, I don't even feel like, oh, I have a penis, okay, let me go and shave, scratch my balls, and act like a man, and act like a manly man, and go out and pick up girls. It doesn't work that way, because that's not my innate sense of self. That's not what my cerebral cortex, my brain, is telling me to do. So why are you telling me to do those things when I'm telling you it's not me? You know? So you need to prepare yourself very well with proof. List all the science analogy that shows that there are cisgender women who can have babies. Tell them that there are loads of cisgender women who can have babies. Do that make them irrelevant? Does that make their womanhood irrelevant? Also list the fact that there are cisgender women who are taller than 6'2" and who have broad shoulders and shave their beard and have hairy chest. Biology is not that straightforward. Biology is not that clear-cut. So to assume that, oh, because because your chest is broad, or because you look manly, you can't be a woman, or because you haven't had surgery, you can't be a woman. That is patriarchal definition of beauty. And that is why we have decided that we will not follow the colonial definition of beauty when it comes to trans, especially Miss Trans Global, and our activism when it comes to trans fight for equality, because beauty is that there's space for beauty to be diverse and inclusive of all, and we are trying to change that patriarchal definition of what beauty pageants are. And that is why Miss Trans Global was started, because all of us here, Imani and I, whom I'm going to introduce to you in a minute. The two of us have been rejected titles. Whenever we go for international titles, they don't pick us up because one, we are black. Two, we are not their patriarchal definition of beauty. Those type of feminism and those standard of beauty, which is colonial standard of beauty, always judge women like myself, being a black woman, women like most of you on here, and women like Imani, and women like Rika. We're not classed as beautiful because we're not skinny enough, or we're not tall enough, or we're not feminine enough, or our shoulders are not small enough, our feet are not small enough, our voice are too deep. You know, they judge us based on colonial definition of beauty. And that is why in the Philippines and in most part of Asia, India, and Southeast Asia, continental Africa, and South America, women with pale skin are classed as more important. Women who bleach their skin lighter than normal dark-skinned women are classed as not beautiful. You know, these are things you need to arm yourself and fight against when you go out there to challenge people. Without further ado, because if I stay on here, I'm not going to leave because, you know, it's a very passionate subject. It's one of my, thank you, Ariella, for that question, because that subject is something I'm super passionate about, and I'm always wanting to educate people on that subject. So, but before further ado,
to add quickly as well,
yes.
Sahara. Yes, and I think we should be a bit forgiving with this standard and to ourselves as well, girls. Don't be so fundamental about it, that there is such an alpha female kind of structure or like standards. We have to be accepting of the different ways people present themselves, and we should be a voice for that. But at the same time, you know, you're doing good for the general community as well, because, you know, there are non-binary people, there are gender non-conforming people, and we have to speak for them too. So if you are too fundamental about what is feminine, then it means that you are also making it hard for non-binary people to be out there and affirm themselves. So we have to be kind of like speaking beyond the circle where we are, but you have to think about these other people who are there as well. And in the same way, you include them in whatever you have. And because you're just forgiving and you are very, you know, you're validating everyone's decision on how they will present their gender expression, then you should go for it and be the voice of those people.
I totally agree. I even forgot about adding non-binary people in that subject, because the non-binary people are the punch bag for this TERF ideology. Whenever they're attacking trans people, they always attack the non-binary people, not the trans women who look feminine like myself or you or most of us here. It's the non-binary people that they use because they fit their narrative more. They fit that story they're trying to put out, you know. So it's actually very sad. So Imani, it's now your turn to speak.
Well, I am Imani. Sahara and I, we are very close friends. We know each other for almost 20 years. 17 years.
17, yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So it's a pleasure for me to be part of this panel. It's a pleasure to be able to share my experience as an activist, as a trans woman who have been, you know, transitioned fully for 10 years now as well. So there are so many useful and important subjects to discuss, as well as, you know, you'll be able to share your thoughts and your doubts and whatever information you need is relevant. Because we, you know, I'm aware that we all in different parts of the globe. So in each country, you have different ways of living, different laws, society, the way it is, everything is different from one country to the other. So I'm very happy to be able to share my experience as an activist in Angola, which is an African country that recently has achieved some changes, significant changes. That, for example, this year in February, finally the parliament has legalized and recognized that, you know, same-sex relationships are not against the law, that same-sex relationships are natural, and as well as now people can be penalized for, you know, discriminating someone against their sexual orientation. based on their sexual orientation. Even though there is nothing specific for transgender people, but we do have, our constitution defends that every citizen should be treated, with dignity and respect, and we all have the right to our identity and expression. So as transgender individuals, we grab that part to protect ourselves, to defend ourselves. In 2019, I launched I Am Trans movement, which has one of the main objectives is to give voice and visibility to the trans community in the country, as well as to defend their rights. So we have so far been taking cases of trans women who have been victims of violence, especially transgender women who are sex workers, because, for all the reasons that we know, people still have difficulty understanding what being a transgender is, what it really means. So people still believe that we are ill mentally, that we have, emotional, we are unstable, we are confused, we don't know who we are. We are still looking for an answer of, whether we are man or woman. So it's been a long journey, be able to re-educate society in understanding what being transgender is. So, like for example, one of the reasons why I also got so late is that at the moment we are trying to solve the case of a transgender woman who is a sex worker, and she was run over by one of her clients who was refusing to pay after the job was done, and in consequences, she seek help from the police who was actually nearby, and the policemen, unfortunately, Angola corruption is one of the main problems. So they kind of were corrupted by the man, and one of them actually sexually abused her as well. And she's been injured. She's been injured, and the case has been. It's not as difficult as it would be, because fortunately within the police we also have new departments that are open to work hand in hand with organizations like ours, to solve problems, especially violence from other policemen. So yeah, this is one of the cases that will go to court, just to give an example of how we work, and I'm now open. Let me not talk too much. I would like to give you the chance to make some questions, and I'm very happy to answer them.
Right, so Mistress Global Ghana, here's your space to speak.
Hello. Once again, Rita, I did miss out the beginning of your talk, and I really apologize about that. But the question was definitely to you. So I'm actually cabin crew for British Airways, and before I started my journey, I was obviously inhabiting a male space. I'm now going to return after this COVID as my new self, and one of the biggest things that I was really worried about was the concept that, like, on a day-to-day basis, working and living within that environment, how it would be, because there was no representations for me. Like, I can't really think of how it's going to be. I'm just excited about the fact that I'm going to go back and I get to wear my outfit and my uniform the way I want to wear it and how I've dreamt of wearing it for many, many years. But then how do I, for me and for everyone out there, our trans girls who are going to probably get into spaces where we are going to be with cisgender women and cisgender males, how do we go forth and do that without feeling oppressed and suppressed within ourselves?
Rika, you answer the question first.
Yes, Charlene, I want you to know that you're making the right decision because it's yourself. And I think you just have to be brave and just go there, swim and enjoy it. Like the companies has to recognize that you are bringing your authentic self at work, and you make them realize that a happy employee is a productive employee, and overall it helps the company. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can have the tagline. But the thing that I can assure you is big companies like British Airways, we expect that they should have good company policy to protect you. You are protected. You should be able to use that protection when you need to, especially when you feel that some people are not making you comfortable, or some people are just, rejecting the you as an employee in bringing that authentic self at work. I mean, it will not be smooth sailing always. Okay, you should try to anticipate that there will be problem at times, but that shouldn't stop you from bringing your authentic self at work. And you will find people who will help you along the way. In fact, I think even for me, it will surprise you how people are welcoming, how people are willing to support you. These are the good things where sometimes life surprises us when you get help along the way. And I want you to just go out there, just be brave, get help along the way. Help will be there if you really need to. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good decision to really do that, because you know what you're doing is, as I said from the start, you're paving the way for others to be able to do that as well for you. And time will come that they just get overwhelmed that so many of us are there, and it's just so normal, I guess. That
I just wanted to add one more thing, because it was more so of the concept that we as individuals, as transgender individuals, we go through so much mental trauma already in terms of our hormones and how we feel, like you Sahara was saying, up and down in our hormones. So how do we as individuals, individual transgender people, is there any techniques that you have used? Is there any things that we can do that would stop us from falling down this rabbit hole of oppression because someone looks at us funny at work, or someone might say a sly comment to us? Because the truth of the matter is, this is the world, and the world is full of some ignorant people. So we are going to encounter ignorant people at times. So how do we, as transgender individuals that are stepping into that space, cope with those things? Because a lot of transgender girls right now probably watching this don't have representations of this, and I personally believe, like, you as someone that's gone through it and is doing it, is your experience would be the best thing for us also to follow.
Yeah, I understand why we're coming. Some girls will be coming from that situation because it is difficult, and we went through difficulties with our family, with our work, with the community where we are from. It's understandable, yes, but we need to realize that at some point of our life we have to stop being too hard on ourselves. We have to really get over our brain, to just, come on girl, don't be so hard about things. Don't be so negative about the world. We don't carry the world, yeah? And when you realize that, if you only try to jump and put yourself out there, you will be surprised that it's not so hard actually. In fact, it might even be easier because you already have people who are willing to help you, who understand you. Because sometimes you just think that it's only me, it's my only battle, I cannot do this kind of thing. You really make it very, very hard for you. We have to stop this, girls. We have to stop this thinking. We have to be open to the world, that maybe along the way someone will help you. Maybe along the way you can actually do it. You just don't know that you can do it. Yes. And when you are in that thinking, you have this clear mind. You have a mind that says to you that you're not being pulled back by negative experiences, but you're actually being pushed forward by the promise of good work, by the promise of good salary, by the promise of better working condition. Then it should propel you out there. Yes. And that's what you need to do. Just be out there and be surprised with how things will unfold for you.
Let me also add that, yeah, I totally I know exactly what Rika is saying. We are our own worst enemy. We often, because of our past experiences and how people have treated us, we often just result into our comfortable positions and not want to strive or stretch our arms into doing other things because we're afraid that we'll be rejected or how they will treat us. In your case, you're fine because you live in the United Kingdom and it's British Airways. How dare they treat you that way? Unless you sue them, they will get multi-million dollars per pound suit.
It was,
If you don't sue them, I will help you sue them. Me, I want my
definitely we will do that together. But
I want my big wrangler. We will sue them. If they treat you badly, we will sue them.
Definitely.
This subject brings me to Imani because Imani, remember how you were treated at workplace. Imani was really actually treated badly at workplace, but we weren't educated in this anti-discrimination law. We weren't very well educated at the subject. We weren't even activists. We weren't even thinking about life as activists at the time. So we were not clued onto that subject. If not, a few years after when Imani left, one of my other friends did the same thing happened to her, and she sued and she got £60,000. That is a lot of money. She used it to buy a house. So I didn't blame her. But, oh my God, Imani even went through worse than what she went through was just Nigerian women. You know, all these Nigerian from Nigeria working in the UK, working in Primark, attacking her and calling her names. So, why are you dressed like this? And then she wasn't allowed in certain female-only spaces.
But then how can I answer the question? How do we push through that feeling? Because obviously, like Rita said, she uses her self-motivation. Yeah.
Well, first of all, congratulations, because you basically it's a new phase of your life, and I'm quite relieved as well that you are, because you're UK based.
Yeah.
Right.
UK based.
Perfect. Because fortunately in the UK the laws do protect us.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So British Airways, if they're really smart, they wouldn't dare to do anything against you for being transgender at all.
They've been quite accepting to me. They've accepted me. They've accepted
me.
But it's more of like the mentality.
I know that most of trans people's concerns when they working for a company, it's how, is the environment. It's not the company itself, it's the environment. Because this is exactly what happened to me. I was working for M&S when I started my transition, and I was embraced by the company, and actually at the time, the managers and my colleagues as well, they were very supportive. I had no issues. I mean, there was some cases where a customer or another, would be stupid, would have a stupid reaction, unacceptable reaction, but the company didn't have an issue. When I left the company, I left it because I was actually getting deep into depression, because I actually unfortunately crossed my way with, I'm not sure if I can use the word biatch. So basically some people who were making my life hell because they didn't want me to grow. Within the company, I wanted to move forward and I wanted to grow, and they didn't allow me to. So, these are the cases. But what I can say with my experience today, it's that, first of all, how comfortable do you feel under your own skin? And secondly, how important it is to you for you to be who you really are and show yourself to the world. When you have those two things in your mind, nothing can affect you. Especially if you know that the people that you work with, your managers and your colleagues do support you. That's the most important thing. Because if a customer says something, if the customer is rude, if you get backed up, by your colleagues, it would make things much more easier to deal with. And secondly, one thing that we need to start embracing, it's the fact that we are transgender. It's a fact. Some people don't like labels. And I recently wrote an article regarding labels and how important it is in a way for us to feel proud of our label. Because I mean, people will get labeled all the time because we're all different. So as long as there is differences between us, we're gonna get labeled. You know, the short guy, the tall, the thin, the dark, the fat. You know, we always get labeled. But how proud, you know, it's just the same thing that happened with the word gay. You know, that in America, it wasn't a nice word, and people started, you know, using it towards gay men, you know, because at the time they still believed that all gay men are happy, joyful, fashionable, etc. So they embrace the word. Now they you know, they proud about the label. So that's what I always say. You know, just to give you an experience, a very recent one. Last week I went to just for my driver's license. And actually, when they call my name, because unfortunately in Angola we are not yet allowed to legally change our name and gender on our documents. So yeah, I still have to go through the awkwardness when I am in a public place. When they call my name, it's a male name. So, and then when I stand up looking like this, you know, people start, you know, people don't know how to treat, they get lost. Sometimes they go, oh my God, you know, they feel even more awkward than I would feel. But now, this is what I was saying, and actually we're empowering the community here to start having this sort of attitude. They were like, but your name is, I said, yeah, that's exactly the name. What happens is, I am a transgender woman, and my social name is Imani, and I would like you to treat me that way. So that's my response. You know, I am transgender. So it's an opportunity for us to re-educate them, to inform them. So it's just an example that you can use when you are with a customer that might go, and you can very naturally explain, I am transgender, my name is. You know, it's just as simple and straightforward. Because if we don't start like behaving or facing who we are naturally, nobody will ever look at us naturally. You know, because people still have a lot of misconceptions of transgender people. So we need to be just proud of who we are, you know, and not be scared. You know, it's the same thing about relationships, because before, and I think we all went through it, or some of us still go through it, that, oh my God, you know, that man, it's actually going on my Facebook and sending me nice messages. What if I post something regarding me being transgender? Oh my God, he might run away. Let him run away. Because if a man accepts you, he's gonna have to accept you as a transgender woman. You know what? It's not something we have to run away from. It's something that we have to really hold our heads high and say, yeah, I'm transgender, so what? I feel great, and this is who I am, this is my history.
Acceptance.
Also, I would say,
Self-acceptance, exactly. Self-acceptance, you know, self-respect, and that's how people start looking at us in the same way.
How you carry yourself in the community, accept that person, and people will accept you too. It's a bit
right,
like,
let me move on.
Sorry.
Because there are lots
Thank
of
you so much.
that. You're welcome. Ariella says, can I log out and come back? Yes, you can. Yes, Ariella, you can do that. Okay, so just a quick one, because we're almost done. We're almost going very soon, but there are lots of hands still up. We need Indonesia, Miss Trans Global Indonesia, to ask a question. Amanda, get ready, because I'm going to come to you next. But also, to add to what Imani was saying, when you're outing yourself, be careful, because when you're going out there to speak, whenever you are portraying yourself or proclaiming yourself, you need to make sure you're in a safe society. But you can do it because you're in the United Kingdom, where the law is on your side, the police is on your side. But certain parts of the world, it may not be possible, like in Nigeria, for example, or in parts of the world where it's still illegal to, where people, society in their minds are still very negative. You might have to protect yourself, but in a safe space, like in a bank or a work or licensed space where you should be treated like respected and be treated, then by all means you can out yourself. You need to claim that space and say that yes, I am trans and this is why I'm here to stay. Like that saying that we did in that in that Brazilian, I don't know, it's a Portuguese saying that say, I am trans and I'm here to stay, which is absolutely relevant. So thank you very much, Miss Trans Global Ghana.
Thank you.
Charlene, I'm going to have to remove you from there. From Mexico.
Mexico.
Lorena, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Lorena, can you say it in Spanish so that Imani can translate for us?
Todo el tiempo escucho que todas las mujeres transgénero hablamos sobre el empoderamiento de la mujer transgénero y el empoderamiento de la mujer transgénero. Pero creo que en la actualidad realmente muchas de nosotras no sabemos ni siquiera lo que es el empoderamiento de una mujer transgénero. En estos tiempos, el verdadero empoderamiento de una mujer transgénero no es solamente una cara bonita, un cuerpo bonito, el tomar hormonas, las cirugías. En estos tiempos, el compromiso de una mujer transgénero, el verdadero empoderamiento de una mujer transgénero es el prepararte emocionalmente, porque la vida no es fácil. El simple hecho de hacer una transición hormonal, un reemplazo hormonal, nos vuelve un poco más vulnerables emocionalmente. Aparte, también el empoderamiento de la mujer transgénero tiene que ver con la preparación, el estar preparadas intelectualmente para así evitar ser atropelladas de nuestros derechos por la ignorancia. Y creo en lo particular que el empoderamiento de una mujer transgénero tiene que venir desde nuestra infancia, porque venimos arrastrando el desprecio de la sociedad, la religión, la familia. Nosotras hemos tratado de sobrevivir y hemos logrado empoderarnos emocionalmente, pero tenemos que preocuparnos para que las nuevas generaciones de las niñas transgénero vengan con esas bases bien fortalecidas. El amor en el hogar, el amor de nuestros padres, el tener una sociedad saludable para ellas, sin desprecio, sin rencor.
Perdón, no te
Summarize what Lorena was saying.
Yeah, no, she's actually making a good point. It's talking about empowerment and exactly what people are today are really understanding of the real meaning of empowerment, especially within trans women. That the empowerment, to a lot of trans women, especially young trans women, is being misunderstood sometimes for just looking pretty or just simply transition, or how feminine can you be, or how happy can you be with your body and your face, and with the final results of your transition. But she said that it's extremely important for people to be aware that empowerment, it's much more than this. That empowerment, it means truly that a trans person, especially trans woman, needs to be aware of her rights, needs to be aware of her duty and responsibility in socially speaking, and how she can positively contribute with her knowledge and to gain even more knowledge on how to defend herself and how to be able to help others to defend themselves. So this is the point that she's bringing up, of how important it is for people to really understand the meaning of empowerment, so that the future trans individuals can start being empowered at a very young age, not to wait until they grow up, but they start growing, getting the information and getting the education.
I totally agree. And tell her that is the essence of Miss Trans Global. That was why we started Miss Trans Global, because we don't want to fit into that patriarchal definition of beauty. That was what Rika and I were talking about earlier. That this is why we want to change that narrative that people put out there, that being a trans woman, you have to be pretty, being a trans woman, you have to be petite, you need to be small, you need to look this way, you need to look that way. So we're trying to empower youth and the young people in our community as much as we can. Can you translate that to her? But I know she can understand. Lorena can understand me very well, but you can still translate so that she understands very well, Imani. Could you just say that in Spanish, please? Lorena and Leslie.
Ok, básicamente Sahara simplemente está completamente de acuerdo con todo lo que dijiste, que esa es realmente la esencia del concurso, que es simplemente llamar la atención de las mujeres transgénero de que la cosa más importante no es cuán bella eres o cómo está tu cuerpo, cómo está tu rostro, simplemente que la cosa más importante es que vamos a tener el conocimiento de la importancia de todas nosotras, de contribuir de una forma positiva, de cómo nosotras, cada una de nosotras podemos también influenciar a las demás y las próximas generaciones también.
Y ser una inspiración.
Yeah.
We are the inspired with the new generations.
Yes, we certainly have to do that, and that's the only way we're going to achieve that. All right, let me move on. Lorena, I need to bring in Amanda because of their timing. Thank you so much, Lorena, for that input because it's very important. A very important subject because we're talking about empowerment in the first place. So it's actually perfect that you brought that in. So now let's bring in...
So I would like to ask a question to Ms. Rika.
Iya, saya ingin bertanya, seperti apa bentuk penerimaan orang di tempat kerja Anda dan bagaimana mereka menerima identitas Anda sebagai transgender perempuan?
Okay, so my question is, what does the acceptance in your working place look like for your identity, especially when it comes to trans women like you? Thank you, Ms. Rika.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Rika, I need you to answer it sentence by sentence.
Okay, so he can translate. So, Rika, you need to...
yeah, so I can translate it properly.
Sure. In Accenture UK, we have very strong transgender policy. So we are covered medically. So we have medical insurance that helps us really support us in terms of our hormone therapy, in terms of FFS, in terms of gender affirming surgery. So we have this private insurance that support as well, which is very important, especially if you're a trans woman. And also, I think what's more important is you have to feel good at work, meaning the company has to affirm your name, your preferred name, and your gender. And you know, like in your ID, they will reflect the right name. And I think that's very important for me. So in our company, for example, we can indicate our preferred name. We can put our pronoun. So whether you're trans feminine, if you're non-binary, you can put they. So that is also implemented. And I think that is the situation. And I hope more and more company will provide that kind of benefit, but at the same time support to make our working life better in the office. Because I think you need to feel comfortable and you need to feel happy in where you work. And I think these little things impacts your day-to-day mood, you know, when you're being called in your ID, you are female. That's very important. I hope it happens to a lot of company. I know it's still very difficult also in Indonesia, but I am very positive that maybe multinational companies can do that as well for the women there in Indonesia.
All right, thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you very much. All right, so I'm gonna move on to...
Terima kasih.
Makasih. Makasih, sweetheart. All right, so I'm gonna move on to Gabriella.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to Gabriella now. Gabriella was had her hands up for a while. Gabriella is Miss Trans Global. Sorry, Amanda previously was Miss Trans Global Indonesia. Now we're moving to Brazil, all the way from Indonesia to Brazil. I love the way we travel around the world with this. It's so cool. You know, so okay.
Good morning, girls.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Oi, gente.
Oi,
Bom
gente.
dia.
Oi, gente.
Bom dia.
Buenos dias. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here again. And now, I don't have a question. No, I just like to comment on what we're talking about. Unfortunately, talk about trans people here in Brazil is a distant reality. The government treat us like a horror show, like a freak show, and things that talking about would influence children to be trans too, you know? So it's difficult to live in an intolerant country run by an extremist president and a sexist society. However, I do what I can to try to transform the image of our reality, because it's too difficult to understand that I live in the country that kills the most trans women in the world, and at the same time is the one that most consume pornographic content. It's kind of difficult. So what?
I didn't know that they consume the pornography the highest.
Yes, it's true, and it's difficult because how can I understand these things, you know? How the people can understand this? How you love, but at the same time you hate. Come on, why you kill my people, you know? So, but I'm glad to know that we have a strong and beautiful women like us fighting and conquering space more and more around the world. So thank you, girls, for doing your job. It's a pleasure, you know, to know that we are
Thank you so
strong
much.
together.
And we all know.
I'd like to say something to you, Gabriella. I think in the way transgender women are painted in media, and especially the women in Brazil, they're very beautiful, but there is a certain image, and you know what I mean. I think it's now very important for you especially to be able to speak up and tell your story, because what we want to tell to the world is there are different kind of trans women. We are from different parts of life. Yes, we say that there are people who are in the pornography, as you say, but there are people who are also, you know, in the corporate world, who are nurses, who are doctors. We want to tell this story, and we want to tell it to everyone that even straight people, there are different kinds of straight people, and that's why the more and more that you are called to tell your story and say that you are a different kind of trans woman in Brazil, and you need to make it really, really loud to everyone.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also want to add that Brazil, holding one of the highest world murders and violence against LGBT people and trans people, is very sad. And I'm glad you're here. We have a segment, ladies, all of you watch. There is a segment in this year's competition. There is the Queen's speech, yes, which is fine. Queen's speech is you telling the plan of what you're going to do if you become the winner of Miss Trans Global, or if you're in the top 5 winners. And then the other section of the competition this year, we have something about my country. I think it's about my country. I don't know what the title will be called, but it's going to be called About My Country. This is a chance for you to tell us what your country is like when it comes to transgender laws, to how inclusive they are or how exclusive that they are, how horrible it is for your country. Don't hold back. Go out there and raise awareness about us and make the video very nice. I think the video will be like 3 minutes long, so you can speak, and 3 minutes or 2 minutes, I'm not sure, but we're going to agree on it. By July, when we start asking you girls to create your content, that is going to be part of the videos that you girls will be submitting. So please hold that in mind. Thank you so much, Gabriella. Let me add Viviana to the conversation. Viviana has been waiting patiently. Thank you so much. Imani, you didn't even have to speak Portuguese to Gabriella because, you know.
Olá, Gabriella.
Because Gabriella speaks English.
I want to very quickly say, just to add that, you know, Angola and Brazil, they're very similar because, you know, culturally speaking, because they have so much in common because they've been colonized by the same country. You know, because of also slavery, there are so many people from here that were brought to. That's why Brazil it's one of the countries with a big number, the highest number of Afro-descendant people as well. So, you know, we have a lot in common, socially speaking as well. But the only difference when it comes to transgender issues is that in Brazil, I do believe, even though they have grown a lot when it comes to laws and protection, but at the same time, when it comes to mentality, the difference is that in Brazil, when the transgender, the trans people started to get visibility, even at the time where transgender wasn't even a word as we know today, like 30, 40 years ago, with the lack of information, I mean, the trans community suffered so much from discrimination, and Brazil has I think still, unfortunately, a huge way in terms of deconstructing concepts that have been built for such a long period of time regarding trans individuals. So I just wanted to say that, but I believe it's positive. It all has to do with who's in power, and I think that unfortunately at the moment,
Bolsonaro has to go. He needs to go. He has to go. I'm sorry if anybody's a Bolsonaro supporter. I'll say it. He needs to go. I'll be political. He needs to go. He's not good for the country. And there is progress happening in Brazil. You know, we have Valentina Sampaio, we have, what's her other name? The other supermodel. We have girls who are doing amazing things. So, you know, things are happening. So progress is happening left, right, and center. So we shouldn't give up at all. So
a trans woman has led the carnival as well. I think it's
carnival,
very...
Yes, she led the carnival. Recently, we shared that on the Trans Beauty magazine, which was amazing. So yeah, we're doing things, but it will get there eventually. All right, so let me move on. We need more curvy girls, we need more black girls, we need more inclusion of types of trans women instead of the supermodel type, you know? All right, let me move on, because if we've already gone beyond our time, we've gone 17 minutes beyond our time, but the conversation is so important. That is the reason why I'm continuing doing this. All right, so Viviana, is your turn. Viviana is Miss Trans Global Canada, and she is an advocate who is a very staunch advocate. All right, so Viviana is an immigrant. So Viviana, please tell us what you want to say.
Hello, hola, hola. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, my question is more around a topic that we haven't talked too much, and I would really like to emphasize a little bit more, especially because we're talking about two industries here, and one of them has not been touched. And I really would love to send a clear message, not just to society, but to all of us who are here. We were talking about so much about corporate, and that's the dream of, I guess, most transgender in this new era. But we need to always remember the sex work industry that I might have just talk a little bit about it. And I really would love our trans sisters to empower more about this issue, because in a lot of countries, this has become an issue. It has become a way of survival. It has become an option not to work for whoever wants to do it, but also it's still being discriminated. It's still being, with a lot of stigma and very marginalized within our own community. And the harsh shipment that the trans face is with our own sisters, and also us denying in public places where they have the structure to openly talk about it like something normal, That's something that has been here forever, and not only trans women does this work. So pretty much my comment or my question here will be, how can we empower but also educate our trans siblings about this topic to use this platform to make something out of this and recognize and acknowledge that the trans sex industry exists and has been one of the survivors' way for many of us. And how can we stop the stigma and the shame and start shaming our other trans siblings that have to do this work, to put food on the table, to feed their families, because sometimes we tend to forget that this is the way that a lot of trans individuals are sustaining their family. So I really would love to, talk a little bit more about this topic.
Yeah, one of our judges last year, Victoria Karam, actually did emphasize that last year. The reason why we didn't actually talk about it yet, which I knew it would eventually come up because someone was going to bring it up, sex work is work, simple. And there are laws against it around the world, and it's the oldest profession. In fact, it's the first world's oldest profession, and it's well proven that it's the world's oldest profession, where human beings give another human being for sex. So it's totally normal, and people need to see that the sex work, porn, all of them, they are all work, especially when it is not forced and is done by adults who are consenting adults and willing to do it and go out there and do it. Of course, by all means, sex work is work. And we need to decriminalize it. Like in the UK here, it's still not been decriminalized, by the way. And that's the reason why, if you are in the UK here, you understand that anyone who pays for sex, you could get into trouble if it's public. But you could also get into trouble if you stand on the street. Because I don't see girls standing on the street here doing sex work. You still see them sporadically. Man, you remember we used to see them around Finsbury Park area once in a while. But it's not like you go to a particular district and you see them hanging on the street and it just happens that way. So we need to put our foot down and make it clear to people that sex work is work. And whenever you girls are talking and you have opportunity for you to speak about it, make it clear that sex work is work. Simple. There is no argument there. None of us are arguing against it. I am so much in support of it. Why should our girls get taken advantage of, molested, beaten up, or harassed, or the chance of being molested or even being killed? I'm sorry, but hello, get the money from the men, because these motherfuckers don't want to be seen with you in public. They don't want to be. Men don't want to see us with us in public. When they hear that we are trans, you're beautiful, you're so sexy. But as soon as they know you're a trans woman, they don't want to be seen with you in public. They want to come to your house and have sex with you in private. So why don't you get your money for it? I'm sorry. Get your coins, ladies, and don't be ashamed of it, because I believe that sex work is a legitimate work, and if you feel confident and you're proud of it, do it and put your head high, because number one, it pays your bills. Number two, getting $5 or £10 an hour is not going to pay for the surgery or facial feminization or have your breast done. So even the same society that is against us when we don't look feminine or look cis-like are the same one that will be attacking trans women who are fighting very hard to look like what society is telling them to look like. So it's a vicious circle, and it's just sometimes it just makes me angry. Let me stop now, because if I start talking, I'm not going to stop. So any of the panel want to add to this conversation? Please, somebody should add, please.
Yes, I would like to say, regarding our reality, when it comes to sex work, I mean, it's not illegal. The only thing that it's illegal is for someone to promote sex work, or like, for example, for you to own a brothel, that's illegal. But you as an individual, that if you want to sell sex, it's not illegal. One of the issues that we have is that sex work, it's a mix of transgender women as well as cisgender women, because we are in a country where, unfortunately, majority of people are very poor. So a lot of women, as well as men, now there's a lot of men, they are starting doing sex work. One of the things that we need to be aware is that there is reasons, different reasons why someone is a sex worker. You know, there is people who do it because they feel that it's the only way, and it's something that we can very easily face or see in a country like mine. The other way is also that people do it because they want to do it, and they have the right to do it. In Angola, it's not considered illegal, and you cannot penalize somebody from being a sex worker simply because under the law you are it's under the article that defends intimacy and your right to your own body. So you have the right to do with your body whatever you want, as long as you do not interfere with someone else's life. We had cases of transgender women who were unlawfully arrested for selling sex on the streets, along with other cisgender women. And as you speak on the phone with the policemen, you know, some of them are not aware of all the laws. Some of them are aware but take advantage of the fact that some sex workers do not know the law. And you know, what we say to them is that simply they cannot arrest people for selling work. One of the excuses is that, oh, morally offends the people who live in the neighborhood, etc. But we always say that is a personal issue of the people who live on those areas. It's not an issue of the girls who are doing their work on that area. So one of the reasons as well is that I'm not sure if I can say unfortunately, is that a lot of young trans women, you know, let's say as young as 15, 16, when they become aware of who they are, they already believe that they cannot, or they are not able, or they're not good enough to do any other sort of work. You know, so they still believe that, okay, I'm a transgender girl, I'm gonna have to sell sex. And this is something that it's important for them to be aware that they can do whatever they want to do, and they can become whoever they want to become, professionally speaking. The problem is that, and it's important for us to point this out, people are ready to see transgender women working as sex workers, working in the, you know, artistically, to be on stage, etc. But people are not ready to allow transgender people to be part of other spaces, such as teaching, such as being a secretary, or to simply be, to work in a shop. You know, this is the issue. Society, you know, they put in their minds that because you are part of this social group, you're not allowed to do this sort of job. And that is one of the main reasons why a lot of transgender people, especially transgender women, have this difficulty in finding jobs in every part of the world, because sometimes we start painting developed countries as a heaven for every transgender individuals, but it's not the truth. I mean, I can say by my own experience, and Sahara as well can share that. I mean, how many job interviews, and you know, because a lot of people are not well informed and educated on transgender issues, so they're quite scared of having to deal with us, you know, on a daily basis. So this is some of the...
Yeah, we make a lot of people uncomfortable, even in our own community. We make them uncomfortable. When
Yeah.
you're trans as well, you make them uncomfortable. Because when you open your mouth, or even your existence, as a trans woman, when you wake up every morning, your survival is a revolutionary act. It shows that you are actually living your truth. And for that, some people find it threatening. People fear what they don't know. People are afraid of you. That's the reason why they attack you. That is the reason why they start doing nasty things, not accepting you, not giving you the job, or because they're afraid of how to deal with trans people. And this is why we need to normalize our existence as much as we can. Let me stop here because...
So Viviana, sorry, just to quickly say, Viviana, it's the thing, this is the quick thing. when it comes to empowerment and when it comes to sex work, those girls, they need to be aware they are capable. The fear, the disbelief that they are capable of doing more for themselves, it's what exactly pushes them, and they don't have any other choice. They believe they don't have any other choice but to do sex work.
No, I thank you, but the reason why, the main reason why I said it, because we were talking about the corporate industry, and a lot of people think it's unachievable. But then when society sees it, because society sees it, to say, well, if there are some people doing that, why the rest is still doing sex work? Why there are no goals there? But we need to talk about that there is a fine line between have privilege as a trans woman and then be able to go to university, and have a person who will never even have seen even through elementary school. So I'm just trying to make a point of people to understand that within the trans community, there are different groups, and we are not equal yet. We're looking for equality within the society, but within our own community, our own population, we're still not equal. We're not even on the equality part of even to the justice part with our own population. So it was just more to bring just aware to our own population, because I do believe we want to clean the street, let's start from within the house.
I agree. I totally agree with you. And the concept that we're all the same, we're not homogeneous. And I always say to people, we're not all homogeneous. Not all of us have a university degrees, and not all of us earn that much. So we have to be as inclusive as much as we can. And this is why Miss Trans Global, when we started the show, we often we put it in the form. If you don't have money during your application process, pick a particular session. We have to be as inclusive as much as we can. Yes, we need to be inclusive in the color of your skin, the size of your body, who you are as a person, your background, and from any background can wear that crown. So far you perform well and your costumes are amazing and how you carry yourself. So we have to start with us, because somehow the society has made it very difficult for us. There's a lot of hurdles and there's a mountain for us to climb. So it's now up to us as trans people, when we're creating our own space, we should create a model for the rest of the society to emulate and learn from, and show the world that this is how it's done. Even trans pageantry, Miss International Queen, for example, and other trans pageantry are not that inclusive of trans women, and we're trying to change that. That is why we kept saying we're trying to change the patriarchal definition of beauty when it comes to trans women. You go to some of these pageants, they're so expensive to join. Not all trans people have a passport. This is why the concept of a digital pageant was so appealing to me, because not all trans women have a passport, not all trans women can get a visa, not all trans women can even get money to do most things, but they're also equally good. So why not give them a chance to express themselves? So that was why we started Miss Trans Global, and I totally 100% agree with you. Carla Michelle from Mauritius, Miss Trans Global Mauritius, says, here in Mauritius, being part of Africa and ex-colony of England, some girls, when they are on the street, you can get arrested. And that is why they use internet to do their work, because there is no law to protect LGBT people, or even LGBT people in workplace and in society. Thank you so much, Carla. And thank you so much, Viviana, Miss Trans Global Canada, because I need to round this up very quickly. But before we go, we need to answer Miss Trans Global Nigeria, Electra, could you join us, please, Adana? I don't know if your camera is on. Okay,
so yes, my question is this. As part of what I always wanted to do as Miss Trans Global Nigeria, I always wanted to create or make way for Nigerian transgender women to be able to be accepted in workspaces. Not just women, but men as well, trans men also, because we have high number of transgender men here in Nigeria that are visible. Some trans women, we are either hidden, or when out, we tend to blend into the cisgender world and pretend to be cisgender women. So on this note, my question is this. As a transgender woman, moving into a workspace, because I've had many sad experiences trying to work with non-LGBT friendly organizations or workplaces. My question is this: am I supposed to act or pretend to be a cisgender woman in a workspace, or am I supposed to all say or make it known to everyone that, oh, I'm a trans woman? I know I may pass for a cisgender woman, but what about other ladies, other girls that don't pass? And I'm a pace setter to most of the Nigerian trans women, and they tend to follow my footsteps. As a leader, am I supposed to preach or teach them to act like cisgender women when they go out there to look for? Because one of the problems we have here in Nigeria, the trans community, is unemployment, and that's why it seems like we aren't visible enough. But trust me, there are many brave Nigerian transgender people out there. There are many of us that are brave enough to come out. But because we have issues with being admitted to workplaces and all that, so please, I want to know, am I supposed to teach and preach acting to be a cisgender person, or should we be bold about our gender identity as transgender people?
I'm going to start with this because obviously it's my country. You know, I made a video. I don't know if you watched that video. It was a 30-minute video where I was giving the young Nigerian, Miss Trans Global Nigeria advice.
Yes.
And I think some of you should watch that video, especially those of you who come from countries that don't have legal recognition laws for you, and which you are constantly being demonized, or a country that does not have a legal right for you. I think you should watch it, especially if you want to do sex work as well. And I talk specifically about sex work, why sex work is very important in Nigeria, and why most of the girls who are in Nigeria are doing sex work as a job in Nigeria, and how to protect themselves. I listed it in that video. In the video, for those of you who won't have time to have a look, just to summarize, I said about how if you're going to do sex work, make sure you give your phone number to a friend of yours, or give a phone number of the man that you're going to meet to one of your friends, so that whenever you're going, they know where you are. People keep tabs on you, where you are. Your safety comes first, because your life is valid and who you are is valid. Unfortunately, sex work is the default job for young trans women in Nigeria, because there is no law protecting, there is no SOGI law, there is no, in fact, there is a 14 years imprisonment for trans women, that LGBT people, trans people included. And there is also social and religious and family rejection when it comes to LGBT people. I was there, I experienced it, and I can tell you, I won't get emotional because it was hell. I went through hell. And lots of trans people who are in Nigeria are still going through it. And it makes me sad to see you go through it. So remain strong. What I was saying, you have to continue being strong, because when I see you girls, it makes me proud. When I watched Miss Trans Global Nigeria, I was incredibly emotional, because I saw you girls being so strong. You girls were out there being authentically yourself. You were so you didn't care. You were just being yourself, and that really gladdened my heart. I wish I could do more, and that is why I keep on talking and I keep on speaking about the issues that trans people are going through in Nigeria. You know, the country, people forget that LGBT people pay tax too. LGBT people are part of the country. LGBT people are also children of that country. They have the same blood running in their veins like them. And they passed this law, 14 years imprisonment, targeting young trans people. I was locked up in Nigeria, and it was hell what I went through. And seeing it happening to other trans girls, it kills me to see it happening. From being beaten on the street, stripped naked and beaten on the street, walking down the street is absolutely, absolutely disgusting. So what I'll say to you is, how do you survive a place like that? Come from, in certain ways. I say to people, conform, because if you have a family member, like my advice is relative to certain people. Like, for example, if you come from a family who is rich or have enough money, who willingly want to put you through school, conform. My mom wasn't rich, but I conformed. When I was in boarding school or in the university, I was unapologetically myself. But when I come home, she made me cut my hair, cut my nails, made me act like a man. I should dress like a man and walk like a man and stop walking like a woman. But I knew what I wanted. I knew that this is not the life I want to live. I tried to commit suicide twice, and the third time would have been successful. And I said to myself, hell no, I'm not going to conform. And the only way I'm going to conform is either killing myself or leave. But the only way to do it, when I say conforming, is if they're willing to pay for your tuition, start applying for university courses abroad, in countries where you are accepted, countries where you are treated like a human being. That is what I did. I started applying to schools. I started applying non-stop. I will be in the internet cafe applying to schools. Luckily enough, Central St. Martin's College of Art and Design gave me an opportunity, and I came to the UK. As soon as I came to the UK, I applied for asylum. I'm not going back to that hellhole after all what I went through. So I can see you guys still going through it. And I will say to you, if you have a family member who is willing to support you and telling you, cut your nails, cut your hair, act like a man, close your eyes, take it, and go to school, get that education, and get the hell out of Nigeria. That is the long run. But in a situation where you don't have family members to support you, we have loads of NGOs in Nigeria, foreign NGOs, like UNICEF. Let me make a point. UNICEF. Let me finish first. You have lots of NGOs there. The problem is that when you apply to those NGOs, do not apply through when it's a Nigerian that is in charge. If it's a Nigerian doing the employment, don't go through them, because if they go through a Nigerian that is employing, they will not accept you. That is the problem. Because in many ways, yes, as much as we want you to live as your true self, your life is in danger. Your life is not safe. The police is going to lock you up very easily. If somebody doesn't like them, they can easily just bribe the police, and the police will lock you up like they did to me. The police, somebody could easily just start attacking you instantly once you go out there. So you have to be very clever how you judge your environment. Why I'm encouraging you to apply to foreign organizations like British Embassy, Swedish Embassy, when they're looking for workers, go on there. Go onto their website and look for their adverts when they are looking for workers. Go to countries, European countries, because they have laws that protect trans people. Once you start working for them, they would protect you. That is the point I'm trying to make to you, because there is one of your girls that you competed with. I don't know how valid her story is, but she told me she changed her name because she was working for a foreign organization. They gave her a legal name. They changed her legal names. Is it Amina or whatever? She's the northern girl that competed with you in Miss Trans Global Nigeria.
Amira Muhammad. Amira,
yes. She was able to change her name to female name at work because she was working for a non-governmental organization that is a foreign company. She was able to do that. So, I don't know, you were trying to make a point. Let me leave the floor to you.
Yes, thank you. Firstly, there are many of us that are actually educated, and those that are not, those that are, let's say, SSC holders, they are capable of doing work. They are capable of working, apart from the sex work thing. Of course, many of us also do sex work. But going out there to look for work and then either conforming or not conforming, that is where the problem is. Okay, okay, for example, let me use myself as an example. My family got to find out my perceived sexual orientation, not my gender identity, when I was still in school, and I went through many conversion therapies and all that. But then when I came out from school, look at me, I have my NCE and my BA in arts, and I am now living fully as a woman. But then I can't go out there to the world with my degree I have a first class in fine and applied arts, but I can't go out there to the world with my degree as an artist to go and work, or to go and be an arts instructor, or to pave way for other girls apart from myself. I could be self-employed, but other girls that are coming after me, the young ones, there are many of us that want many things in life.
Yes, and you have to be clever. That's what I'm saying. Not everybody can be Bobrisky. Not everybody can be, oh, I'm glamorous,
No.
I'm rich, I have a rich boyfriend that spoils me. That is what most young trans girls are emulating, and that's what they are looking for. And I'm saying, if you're a woman and you see yourself as a woman, you want your passport to see you as a woman, and you want to be treated as a woman, leave Nigeria. I know many people would disagree with me and say, oh, it's not the right thing to say. But I'm sorry, Nigeria is not a country where you can be yourself as a woman. Because
Yes.
number one, legally, the law is against you. You could be put into prison. So it's impossible for you to be yourself. Unless you claim to be rich, like Risky, then you can get away with it, because in Nigeria, money talks. People respect money. When you claim that you're a rich woman, people respect you. So the only way you're going to be accepted is when you leave Nigeria, get your passport done, come back. When you come back to Nigeria, you can make positive changes. That's the only way you can help. And my opinion, my advice to you is try, as much as I'm saying conform, I'm not saying you should conform by working with don't work with a Nigerian government, but if you think you can work with Nigerian government and make your money to buy your flight ticket and leave Nigeria, or pay for your tuition and leave Nigeria, do it. Because at least you won't do it forever. You just give yourself a time frame of 2 years working and saving your money and get the hell out of that hellhole. Because Nigeria is not a place to be if you are in or trans. Gay people can hide their sexuality, but trans
Yes.
people can't hide it. Being trans is physical. Who you are
Yes.
is out there. There is no way you're taking hormones, your breasts start growing. So there is no way you can exist in a country like that without people not attacking you. Religion, come on, your family, is impossible unless you work for a non-governmental organization, like I was saying, UNICEF or an embassy. Then by all means you can go to work and come back home and looking glamorous, and that will be fine, because the embassies, they will always accept you, because their policies, like Rika was saying earlier, their policies would always protect you, and their laws of their land, because remember, they have diplomatic immunity, so their laws will always protect you. And if you ever get the opportunity to work in an embassy, grab it.
And one quick question, please. Is it advisable for us, not just me, but other girls too, to apply to go searching in embassies here in Nigeria for work? Like LGBT-friendly embassies, can we just move in there and identify ourselves and apply for work?
Yes, you can. Because most of the embassies now, everything is done digitally. You apply online. They will even ask you all those questions when you're filling the forms. If they're inclusive, like if you go for British embassy, they will even put it on there. Are you transgender? You can pick if you're transgender. And I'm telling you, if you pick transgender, you stand out. You stand out instantly, because don't hold back. Do not hold back. Take up spaces, especially because the law protects you. Not just the embassies, British companies in Nigeria as well, because there are laws that they're going to bring in. They will be using Nigerian law, but they'll be using the foreign law that they bring from their countries. So you can come in there and use it to protect yourself. Because I know a few people who work in Nigeria who are in the LGBT community, but they work with all this foreign government, and they have all the perks that they get as well. But the truth is, unless you want to live in Nigeria, but I will always advise a trans person, do not live there, because they will never understand you. They will never accept you unless you're ready for your passport to keep saying the wrong gender and people using the wrong pronouns when they see your legal documents. For me, it will trigger me and I would just go crazy. And that's the reason why I would always advise everyone to leave.
Yeah, and in the perspective of job searching, you can actually look for the companies and apply for the jobs where whichever country they are open. So for example, here in the UK, I did apply myself here when I was in France, and I was able to transfer here, applying for a job here. So you should just do it. And you know what? everyone is in the advantage because we bring diversity to the company. We bring them something different, something that makes them proud that they're hiring transgender people. And I think that's the moment that you seize it, go for it.
Can I just say, I mean, Sahara, you said most of the things because you were, I think, you know, you've experienced it. You're from Nigeria as well. It's a difficult situation because you are, you know, Electra. You live in a country that, you know, legally does not accept LGBT people. You know, as transgender individuals, it's a huge risk to put yourself out there. I mean, one of the things that I would advise you, you know, when it comes to advocacy, I think it's something you should think about. You know, I think you are, you know, you feel responsible to actually hold hand of a whole community of so many transgender individuals, especially trans girls, you know, that feel slightly lost and they look up to you. One of my advices is a tip. Why don't you write letters to embassies or international companies in Nigeria that you know that in their countries, you know, they do accept and they do embrace LGBT issues, LGBT people. And why don't you actually talk to them in a way of them be able to open their doors and to give opportunities in interviewing people from the community, you know, people who are looking for jobs through you, that you can actually send people, you know, where they can send their CVs, you know, you serve as a bridge to communicate and to actually make this link between the community and those international companies, including embassies, you know, as well as NGOs. I mean, I believe that USAID, for example, UNICEF, you know, they based in Nigeria. So they kind of, you know, they're kind of companies, they're organizations that will be able to work with you on that.
Yeah, it's a very good idea because I think when you're doing it as well, you can also explain the situation, you know, put the law as a reference and also explain how these girls are overqualified, like yourself, overqualified, and you're all looking for work, and then having so desperately taking up things that you didn't want to do in the first place in order to survive. By doing so, it will help the girls, it will help the people, it will help them to understand your situation, and they will put you first, especially if you qualify for the job. They will definitely give the girls the job. So that's a very good idea, Imani. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So before I let you go, because we're almost going to finish, let me give you a rule. Some of the girls have left. They have left. So who is the town crier? I know that Carla Michelle is the town crier. She's always screaming and shouting and saying hello to everyone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly give you an advice, because for those of you who are not here, Ariella is still here. Oh wow, Ariella, that's nice. Thank you. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to, I hope we answered everyone. I hope we answered everyone. So then what you guys need to do for today is to make sure you have your, you should make sure you have your, what is it called? Your video. What do you do in your video that you're going to submit for today? Okay, for those of you who didn't talk, we need all of you to make a video of yourself waving at the camera. Just waving at the camera, okay? Do that because so that we can say that you are present at the show or at the event, so that we will include you in the video we're going to publish, because the video will be an hour-long video or live show that we're going to do during the or in August. So this, all of this will be on there. So we would advise you to make a video of yourself HD in the section that says leadership and empowerment training. Make a video of yourself waving at the camera. And those of you who asked questions or made a suggestion or spoke, if you recorded yourself, send us the video. But if you didn't record the video, it's all right. We're still going to use this, but we'll expect you to send us the video. By doing so, we'll have a great high quality video for ourselves, all right, for the production. Now, we're going to finish now because most of the guys are leaving. But don't forget to do this. This is very important. Also take pictures of your outfit in your sash, and also close shot from your waist up, and another full one as well. We need that for that as well. So if there is no other questions, okay. So next week we have the Tea with the Queens. Panelists, you're welcome to join us if you want to. We're having Tea with the Queens, where the girls, they're all coming with their teacups and their tea and biscuits and cake. We're going to just drink tea and discuss.
Hello, Sahara. Can I interrupt? Can I ask one question?
Yes, please, go on. This is Miss Trans.
Yeah, actually,
her name is Miss Trans Global India, Shruti Sitara. She won Miss Trans Global India.
Yeah, I just want to ask you something to recover. It's really proud to know that you are working in a corporate sector, and you might have had a lot of challenging situations in your workplace. And I just want to know, as a trans person, what is the greatest challenge that you have faced in your workplace, and how did you overcome it?
I think the greatest challenge for me right now is I don't know actually what my direction is at work. I don't know the answer actually, but I think the challenge, not just for me, but I think for all of us, is I grew up with no role models, with no roadmap on what will my career to be. I have not seen any trans person who is CEO, who is managing director. We don't know that. We don't see that. And we don't even dream that I can be a managing director. I can be a CEO. And I think that's the biggest challenge for me. Like, how do we make ourselves become CEO really and be promoted up there in the corporate ladder? We don't know that. I don't know the answer also because I don't know the formula. I don't know the roadmap. And I think that's really every day I'm trying to really learn to myself, how can I make that happen? And I guess for those who are working as well, how do you make it happen for you that, you know, from an analyst, from a fresh grad, you become a manager, then you become senior manager, and you become CEO eventually. That's very hard because there is no clear formula for us on how to do that. And yeah, I don't know. And I hope that, you know, I will see some girl who is able to do that somewhere, anywhere in the world, who become a trans CEO and make it an example for everyone and share how can we do it, you know, how can everyone be there and become a CEO. And yeah, and I think that's so far the biggest challenge that I can probably say.
I don't think there is a formula for it. I think even for cisgender people either, I don't think there is a formula. I think most times it's all about who you know, who will put your foot in the door to get up there. But in most cases, I would say to you to reach for the stars and don't hold yourself back. This is why I kept saying, reach far, don't hold back, because we trans people, one of our biggest challenges and also obstacles in life is ourselves, because we feel like, oh, I can't do that, I won't be able to achieve that because I'm not cisgender. And that is the problem. We need to actually fight for the universe and go out there and say, listen, I can do that too, I can do that too. Anything you're passionate about, go out there and put your fingers, put everything, jump into it and see where it takes you, because you never know. If you don't put yourself, they said you have to be in the game to win, right? So you have to be in it to win it. And the only way you're going to be there to achieve that goal is by fighting for it. Yes, you're going to get a lot of obstacles. You're going to get so many things thrown at you, but you have to keep on going, because the end goal is what makes the deal. And this is why I also talk about politics as well. Trans people should get into politics. You know, we have Rachel, what's the name? Rachel, I can't remember her name now. She's the one, she's the assistant head of coronavirus vaccination task force in America, which was employed by President Joseph Biden. So this is what I'm saying. Like, if you're a trans person in your own field and you're good at it, just keep fighting. You never know, you're gonna get this. You're gonna get recognized by someone that will bring you up there. So don't ever hold back in fields of politics corporate world, whatever you choose to do with your life, do not hold back. And even if you think you don't have the education for it, go out there and learn a skill or learn something and put yourself out there. But if you choose to be a sex worker, be a good sex worker, the type that can buy a Ferrari and build a house. Fight for it. Make sure you be the best of the sex workers. Be the queen of all sex workers. So that is the point. That's the point I want to make. But girls, I need to let you go because many people are yawning. I can see a lot of you yawning. I'm very tired. And I feel so guilty for keeping you this long. But at least this is not as long as the last time, because the last time we had it, it was 5 hours. But this is only 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I think. Yeah, 2.5 hours. Yay. This is perfect. So the next thing we need to do is the team.
Thank you very much for the chance of joining.
So Imani and Rika, please stay.
Thank you, Miss Imani.
Thank you.
Bye, Miss Imani. Bye, Miss Rika. I love you.
Thank you, Miss Rika.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
And Miss Sahara as well.
Thank you, Miss Sahara.
Miss Japan.
Have a good day.
Hi, Miss Japan.
Bye-bye.
How are
Thank you
you?
so much.
Hola.
How is Angel?
Bye, Sahara.
She's good. She's already sleeping right now.
Miss Sahara, bye.
Bye.
I love this part.
Bye, Japan.
Good night.